They say the only constant thing in life is change. Today we're with a golfer who's changed jobs several times, including getting out of the golf business altogether. Now he's back at Oak Ridge Country Club. Today I'm with fellow Springville golfer, Chris Dover. Chris, let's have some fun, should we?
We'll do it. Guest always has honors.
So Chris, when did you start playing golf and when did you start playing it seriously?
So I started playing when I was 15, and then probably the first year. That next year, my junior year of high school was when that was the first year I played high school golf, and that's when I kind of got the bug from there.
That's kind of a late start for golfers, isn't it?
Yeah, but I grew up playing Hobble Creek, and I finally went out with a friend of mine who played basketball, and his dad, and then my dad. So we went out, and I was on the second hole knocking it around in the trees, and I get up by the green, I chip it in, and they all go crazy. And I'm like, that's sort of what I was aiming for. I didn't know how hard it was at the time. So I took to it pretty quickly.
Nice.
I did start late.
So you got really good really fast.
Well, I got pretty good really fast.
I mean, you won a state championship, right?
Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, so it was a good time. That was 80. So we had good teams through like the end of my time and the first of the kids that were right behind me.
So you decide go to college on a golf scholarship?
Yeah, well then I, oddly enough, we had, John Evans was the section president at the time, and we had, I knew a friend who worked in the golf shop when I was growing up at Hobble Creek, and he was interning at the section office. And so he's like, hey, what are you doing for school? Because I went on a mission. He says, what are you doing for school? And I said, I don't know. My girlfriend's going down to SUU, and next thing you know, I have a walk-on. This is a cool story. I have a walk-up tryout. And so we try out for a week. It's 36 holes. I'm shooting a million, getting my butt kicked. And John Evans, I remember walking into his office that first time, and he's like, well, Chris, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I said, well, I kind of started late. I played 2 years of high school golf, had a decent high school and junior golf career in that short time. I said, but I've been gone for a couple of years. I'm not all that good right now. And he says, well, you're a hell of a salesman. I said, well, I figured you're going to find out soon enough. So
awesome.
So we went out there, and I think that stuck with him. And so I remember after just blisters on my feet, clubs weren't fitting, I was just in bad shape. And I remember him telling everybody, he says, well, we're going to keep only one person that's not already scholarshiped. And, I figured it wasn't me. He says, the only person we're going to keep is Chris. And I thought to myself, I don't think I played with any other Chris's. So it was me. And then the final part of that story is we had a kid on our team, Toru Kanazawa, who was a scholarship player, and he flunked out of school my first semester. And once you had scholarship at the time, once it was allocated and you signed for the year, that was it. You couldn't add to or take from. And so the only person on the team that didn't have any scholarship money was Chris. And so I took Toru's scholarship, and the rest is history.
You mentioned John Evans.
Yeah.
Who else were some of your mentors?
So Sonny Braun was like my first, at Hobble Creek, he was my first golf pro. And Sonny just took me under his wing. He knew I was interested in it, and so that first year he said, hey Chris, you're here a lot. If you want to go up in the Poison Oak above the driving range and kick back balls, we'll let you go play. So that's how I got connected with golf.
That's how you got all swollen and itchy?
Yep, exactly.
Oh, nice ball. When did you decide you were going to be a professional golfer?
I think as soon as I chipped that ball in on my second hole, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
I'm a pro.
Yeah. So I always said Hobble Creek was my first girlfriend, and she ruined me.
She's a cruel taskmaster.
Yes. But I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do with golf. I think everybody who's a young, aspiring golfer wants to play for a living, right? But you also have to be a realist when you're playing with people like Tiger and those guys in college that he probably finished a lot of careers before they ever started. I went into college knowing that I wanted to leave being a golf pro.
Yeah.
So by then I had already kind of figured it out.
And so your first job?
First job was with Reed MacArthur at Sunbrook. And Reed was an amazing mentor. He told me that he wanted me to work 3 years for him. He said, if I haven't taught you what you need to know in 3 years, either I can't teach it or you can't learn it. So I worked 3 years for Reed, and then sort of was trying to position myself for a job down in St. George within the city. Went over to Southgate for a year with Scott Draper. And then when Coral Canyon came online, Colby Cowan, another college teammate of mine, who was at Bloomington, took that job. So I took the Scotty Brandt. I worked for him for 4 years. He asked me to come over, so I worked at Bloomington.
So you're an assistant for 8 years?
About 7, so 3, yeah, well, almost 8 years, yep. Mm-hmm.
And then your first head pro job was?
Was it Palisade?
Palisade.
Yep, so I took that, and my wife wasn't too sure about that. And she said, well, once she wrapped her head around it a little bit, she said, we can move there, but we can only move to one of the towns that has a Walmart, and there was only one. So we moved to Ephraim.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
There you go,
Cool.
dancing.
Stay there. Were you worried when you took your first job as a head pro?
Well, I knew I'd had great experience with Reed and even Scott Draper, Scotty Brandt, so I felt comfortable. Taking that job, but it's also the unknown. You just never know.
Suddenly you're the guy making all the decisions, though, right?
I always had
the buck stops here.
Exactly. So that was an interesting time. Great people. Still have lifelong friends there. Nope, a little skinny.
Spin. We'll fix that in editing.
Editing.
You'll be fine. It'll be really close. So 8 years, then you apply for the job within the state system.
Yep.
Up at Wasatch.
Yeah. So I did that. Got the job at Wasatch, and that one was the one. You know, I had that experience at Palisade, but it was hard to just manage the volume of business that was done there.
Because Palisade, you don't get a whole lot of play, but Wasatch.
Yeah. At Palisade during the week was pretty calm, local players, and then the weekend the park would get full and it was busy. But that was just 1 or 2 days, right? But at Wasatch, it was corporate outing every day, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday we're super busy, and it was a lot just to sort of wrap your head around and manage and not. I tend to get focused on things, and I had a couple people there say, Chris, you can't be here all the time. You gotta let some other people. You gotta trust some other people and let them do their jobs. So that was tricky. But we figured it out. There you go. Real nice.
Nice. Put a camera on the guy and he's invincible. So you wear a lot of hats. Golf pro, teacher, running the golf course, but you also are a businessman.
Yeah.
How did that work out that you got involved with Quench It?
Yeah, well, when I took over at Wasatch, my wife, who was an English teacher, she didn't want to go back to school. She had an experience going to one of these little soda shops and had a friend open one up in Ephraim. And she thought, well, if they can open it up, I might want to give that a shot. So in 2014, we opened our store up in Heber City, and it was just really well supported by everybody. I mean, it was just crazy. And so in 2017, we had some people come to us and say, what do you think about maybe have you considered franchising this? And I'm like, no, I haven't really considered that. And then they kept after us, and I thought, well, how hard could that be? And I will never say something like that again. When I decided to get back into golf, it was about 6 months ago, I said, you know, Eric, I think I want to, I miss golf, you know, I I want to be back at a golf course. And so, next thing you know, Oak Ridge, Brian Seeley, president of Oak Ridge, calls me and says, "Hey, what kind of interest do you have? I know you're busy doing this." So I've managed to offload that work so I can focus on this. So, and now I wake up. I know that I've got long. I'm not naive. I know there's long hours coming and there's going to be long days. But I wake up energized and excited to be back at the golf course and not working doing my wife's dream, which was fulfilling to some degree, but it's her dream, not mine. So,
if you're going to get back in the golf business, getting a job at Oak Ridge is a pretty good deal, isn't it?
Yeah, I just pinch myself. I mean, it really is a special place with great history, and just so excited to be here.
Closest to the hole?
Closest to the hole wins quench it drink.
Loser buys? I know the owner. Oh, go, go, go! He thinks he's so good. Sheesh. What are your goals for the first year here at Oak Ridge? We got some big events here.
Yeah, wrapping my head around the Corn Ferry. That's a big event we have, and I just want to do an awesome job for the men's and women's member guest. Where they moved the member guests from August up to June, and so we're trying to get invitations and all that stuff organized. I just want to put on a class event for them. I think that's the main thing, just keeping things rolling. And one of the questions I was asked in my interview is, what would your first 90 days look like? And I said, well, God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth. I want to use them accordingly. So learn more than I try to change or speak, So I think that's sort of where I'm at.
What kind of reception, what kind of feedback have you gotten from the other section members now that you're back in the business?
Well, a lot of my good friends are just thrilled to have me back in the section and back where they believe I belong. So that's been fun to visit with them and feel their support.
You said before that you were a grinder.
Yeah.
Do you think your way around a course, or are you just visual? How do you do it?
Yeah, a lot of times, like on a par 5 I can't get to, I'll play it backwards, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm 280 and I can't get it back there, then I want to play it a shot that's 180, give myself 100 yards left, and just play to a strength instead of just hit it up there to 55 yards and then
Those little half wedge fill shots.
Yep.
That felt like a good swing.
Like I'm buying drinks. It's gotta go. Finish it up.
Nice. Ooh. Oh.
There you go. Nice playing.
Go figure. Chris, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you.
Just a couple of Hobble Creek guys
That's
out on the
right.
golf course.
Love it.
Good to see you again.